Have you ever noticed that most heroes have pretty messed up origins? Well, we have 15 of the darkest ones for you right here. Number 15, The Flash. When you think of The Flash, you probably think of a red-clad speedster who can run faster than the speed of thought. But did you know that he also has one of the saddest backstories in all of DC Comics? His real name is Barry Allen, and he was just an ordinary forensic scientist until a bolt of lightning struck him while he was working in his lab. This event gave him his super speed, but it also killed his mother. And Barry never forgot what happened to her. It's one of the reasons why he became so obsessed with trying to find the Reverse Flash, who had actually killed his mom years before the accident that gave Barry his powers. No. 14. Aquaman may seem like a silly superhero whose only purpose is to show up when someone needs something from the sea, but he actually has a really interesting and tragic backstory. Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, is half human and half Atlantean, the race of people who live in Atlantis. His father was the king of Atlantis, but he was killed by a usurper named Black Manta when Arthur was still just a baby. And Arthur himself narrowly escaped death several times throughout his life. When he finally came of age, he decided to take his father's place and become the new ruler of Atlantis. But not everyone was happy about this, including his own mother, who thought that Arthur was too much of a pacifist to be a good leader. This led to a massive conflict between Arthur and the rest of his family, which ended with Arthur's mother being forced to flee from Atlantis, and Arthur taking the throne. That SYULL often see Aquaman depicted as a conflicted hero who doesn't always get along with his own people. Number 13, Hulk. The Incredible Hulk might seem like just another angry green guy with big muscles, but his story is actually one of the most tragic in Marvel Comics history. Bruce Banner was once a normal human scientist who accidentally transformed himself into a gamma-irradiated monster. At first, Banner could control his alter ego, but over time, the Hulk's personality took over more and more, turning Banner into a kind of prisoner inside his own body. To make matters even worse, the Hulk's appearance is often seen as a symbol of America's nuclear weapons program, which is why he's frequently targeted by anti-nuclear activists and other political groups. Number 12. Dick Grayson started out his crime-fighting career as Robin, the sidekick to Batman. But when he grew up, he decided to strike out on his own and become Nightwing. Unfortunately, this didn't last for long, because Nightwing was eventually shot and paralyzed by the villain Death. Luckily, Batman was able to help Nightwing recover, but the experience left him with a deep psychological scar. That SY Nightwing is often portrayed as being more reckless and impulsive than the other members of Batman's family, since he's always trying to prove himself even when the odds are stacked against him. Number 11. Superman. Everyone knows that Superman is one of the most powerful superheroes in the world, but few people realize that he also has one of the most unusual origins. Superman wasn't born on Earth. He was actually sent here as a baby from the planet Krypton, which was dying. Jor-El, Superman's father, built a rocket ship and sent his son away just before the planet exploded. The infant was found by Jonathan and Martha Kent, who raised him as their own son. They named him Clark after the star that had fallen from the sky and gave him the nickname Superman because of his incredible strength. So, although Superman is an alien, he is also very much a part of the human race thanks to the way he was raised by his adoptive parents. Number 10. Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman might seem like a demigod, and she kind of is, but her story is actually quite a bit more complicated than that. Diana was indeed the daughter of Zeus, the king of the gods, and the mortal queen, but she wasn't born on Olympus or anywhere else in the Greek pantheon. Instead, she was created by Hippolyta herself, using clay and water from the river Styx. This means that Diana is actually a kind of artificial life form, which makes her one of the most unique characters in all of mythology. Number 9. Daredevil. Matt Murdock might be the most skilled superhero lawyer in the Marvel Universe, but he's also one of the most tortured souls. As a child, Matt was blinded by radioactive waste, but this gave him heightened senses that allowed him to fight crime as Daredevil. However, this same accident also robbed him of his sight, which is why he often struggles to balance his day job at Nelson and Murdoch with his crime-fighting activities. Daredevil's sense of justice is challenged when he has to defend clients who he believes are guilty, and he has constantly torn between his duty as a lawyer and his desire to do what's right. No. 8. Batman. There are a few superheroes more iconic than Batman, but few are as dark as well. Bruce Wayne was just a child when he witnessed the murder of his parents. This traumatic event led him to devote his life to fighting crime in Gotham City. However, Batman's methods are often brutal and uncompromising, which is why he's frequently at odds with the police and other authorities. Batman also has a number of psychological issues, including obsessive-compulsive disorder and dissociative identity disorder, which make him even more unpredictable and dangerous. Number 7. Green Lantern. Hal Jordan might be one of the most powerful Green Lanterns in the universe, but he's also one of the most flawed. When he was chosen to be a Green Lantern, Hal was already a successful test pilot, an Air Force veteran, but his time in the military had left him with a lot of anger and resentment, which he often takes out on his fellow Green Lanterns. Hal is also prone to making reckless decisions without thinking things through, which has gotten him and his friends into trouble on more than one occasion. Number 6. Wolverine. Logan is better known as Wolverine, one of the most feared mutants alive. He was subjected to a series of horrific experiments by the Weapon X program that left him with a metal skeleton and a thirst for blood. Wolverine is also one of the oldest living mutants, which means he's seen a lot of death and destruction throughout his lifetime. All this has left him with a lot of psychological scars, which is why Wolverine is often portrayed as being brooding and solitary. No. 5. Captain America. Steve Rogers might be one of the most patriotic superheroes in the world, but he's also one of the most controversial. Captain America was created during World War II as a propaganda tool to boost morale on the home front. This meant that from the very beginning, Captain America was linked to American politics and power struggles. Even today, Captain America remains a symbol of American values and ideals, which is why he's often at odds with those who oppose the United States, both domestically and abroad. Number 4. Iron Man. Tony Stark might be one of the richest and most influential superheroes in the world, but he's also one of the most troubled. After being kidnapped by terrorists, Tony was forced to build a mechanical suit of armor that would allow him to escape captivity. Although Tony eventually defeated his captors, he was left with a lot of guilt over the way he had treated his employees and the environment. This led him to become more socially and environmentally conscious, but it also made him a lot more complex as a character. Number 3. Ghost Rider. Johnny Blaze sold his soul to the devil in exchange for his father's health. But this turned out to be a terrible mistake. Soon after making the deal, Johnny's father died anyway, and Johnny was left with the curse of Ghost Rider, which transformed him into a skeletal demon whenever he rode his motorcycle. As if that weren't bad enough. Ghost Rider is also doomed to spend eternity hunting down the souls of sinners, which means he's constantly surrounded by death and suffering. No. To Venom. When Spider-Man first encountered Venom, he thought he had found a new arch-nemesis. But as time went on, Venom's story became much more complicated. It turned out that Venom was actually a good guy named Eddie Brock, who had been infected by an alien symbiote. This made him one of the most terrifying villains in Spider-Man's rogues gallery, but it also made him one of the most sympathetic. Venom is often torn between his desire to do good and his darker impulses, which makes him one of the most unpredictable characters in Spider-Man's life. No. 1. Deadpool. Wade Wilson was once a normal mercenary, but he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. In order to save his life, Wade volunteered for a shady government experiment that gave him accelerated healing powers. However, this also drove him insane, turning him into one of the most dangerous and unpredictable superheroes in the Marvel Universe. Deadpool is often seen as a joke, but his story is actually one of the most tragic in Marvel Comics history. Comment below if you think these origins make these heroes more relatable. Check out more facts about superheroes in the links below. Thanks for watching. Until next time.
Follow Unlimited League Zone. Like, share, and subscribe for more superhero battles.